Hello from the studio in Nitro, West Virginia. This is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and there's roster news. I don't know. Joe Tipton from On3 on August the 12th. I'm reading the tweet. News, West Virginia forward Brennan Lorient is returning to West Virginia for a fifth year of eligibility following the Colorado court ruling, source told On3. The 6'9 senior averaged 11.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game this past season. So that sounds exciting. One roster spot open. Almost felt like fan fiction. Holding it for Lorient. Is Lorient going to get it? 5 for 5 rule comes through. Doesn't grandfather the class of 2022 in? Legal actions, Colorado court ruling. NCAA is appealing that. And it's being received as great news. I'm receiving it as great news, but the real reaction should be what Coach Ross Hodge has. And Ross Hodge reposted this on X. The WVU men's basketball page reposted this on X. So everybody's excited. They did a season ticket promotion through the men's basketball feed. Like, this is a good day to get in. So it's celebrated. But when you listen to Ross Hodge on this week's Three Guys Before the Game with Tony Caridi and Brad Howe, his reaction is basically the meme of Larry David, like, confused. Like, this is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. He said listen to that interview, but it's like, this is great news. I don't know how I'm supposed to talk about it. I don't know if we're just a lot of uncertainty, because does the NCAA take L's in court cases all the time? Can they get this Colorado ruling appealed? Of course it can. Can it? There's not a 0% chance. History says it doesn't happen. And Lorient plays, and Jamin Buchanan plays. And this isn't just, West Virginia history. It's just, it ain't over. This is sports. It ain't over till it's over. And that appeal has to get shot down. The blanket, somebody has got to bang a gavel and say, the 2022 class can participate. They are grandfathered in. I haven't seen that yet. You haven't seen that yet. I'm excited, but also, you know what the name of this podcast is? You're listening to it. This is not Unreasonable Doubt. I mean, the podcast is Unreasonable Doubt. It's not unreasonable to have doubt and as a WVU fan, it's snug as a glove, waiting for that, waiting for the other shoe to drop, or whatever that phrase is. It's waiting for the fall. Shout out Mike Kazaza. Okay, so it's news. Does the ceiling of this team get dramatically higher if Brennan Lorient comes back? Yes. Does Jamin Buchanan's role drastically change if Brennan Lorient plays and he plays? It absolutely does. Is that exciting that Ross Hodge threw this wild roller coaster ride of rule changes and guys coming back? Does this improve his retention report card in year one? 1,000,000%. It doesn't matter how we got there. He retained the starter. If you can hear the excitement in my voice, Lorient was instrumental in the success that West Virginia had as the crown champions last season. They're thin at the 4. He feels an obvious need, a returning starter, senior leadership. All that stuff is fantastic, and I'm hopeful for all that to happen. We got to see, what is there? Like, somebody's got to do something on Friday, and then somebody's got to do something on Monday, and then school starts next week. This isn't over yet, but this is better news than Brennan Lorient says, I'm going somewhere else, and then have to wait there. Of the news we could get at this point, Lorient says, I'm coming back. How's the money work? I have no idea. But of all the options, I don't know how to process the news, but even Ross Hodgson 3 guys before the game, this is great news. with with the caveats and shoulder shrugs, I don't know. More to come, but it's August, and that's great news. And I'm going to go with the roster is full. Famous last words. Another interview. It's just interview after interview. A return guest, Troy Van Camp from the Mountaineer Moment YouTube channel. I think he's like on episode 1000. He's only been doing it a year. I might be overstating it a little bit. Enjoy his work. Here's my interview with Troy Van Camp. All right, Troy Van Camp, welcome back to Unreasonable Doubt, a podcast about West Virginia University basketball.
Appreciate you having me on. It's been a minute. I appreciate you reaching out and us getting to connect. I feel like we engage a little bit from time to time on X, and then but it's good to be back here on Unreasonable Doubt for sure.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And your YouTube channel, everybody knows it's called Mountaineer Moment. It begs a question. I'm sure you've never gotten this before. What is your favorite all-time Mountaineer moment? And I'll go specific to basketball.
Specific to basketball. See, I was thinking Will Greer right away against Texas, but basketball, oh my goodness. It's hard to beat Deshaun in the Big East tournament with what he did. I mean, he had 6 game-winning shots that year, and then 2 in the Big East tournament to get us that. And Country Roads in Madison Square Garden. Now, as a local New Yorker myself, I can appreciate that even more. Pretty neat.
Oh, you obviously want to point to the Final Four, and that was surreal. But that's not a moment. That's just a whole game and kind of sweating those last minute and change of like, is this really going to happen? But that setup in the final with taking it out at the same spot. He hit that bank shot against Cincinnati a couple of games prior. Huggins' voice cracking at the end. I mean, I think that's mine too. And to be interesting when people, how that ages, but that hearing Country Roads, even hearing Hypnotize and the starting 5 at the beginning, it just all set up to like an awesome moment at the end. So I share that moment. I think WVU Sports is well represented on YouTube. Do you watch other WVU sports YouTubers? And regardless, what do you think makes a good WVU sports YouTube channel?
It's a good question. I do a little bit of catching up on some of the guys that I've gotten to connect with a little bit, and I do think you're right. It's well represented, and what I've noticed is, as far as people I've been able to interact with, like people like one another even in the same community. It's not like a competition, and it's just kind of neat to see that, and guys just all for the Mountaineers. And I think what makes a good one is just consistency. And then like there's a unique thing about like West Virginia University, West Virginia, the people, like as long as you can capture that and just understand the culture, understand like West Virginians have a lot of pride. And this is, as Bob Huggins would say, the pro sport, in the state of West Virginia. And I think there's, you can tell the guys apart that kind of establish that and know that level of what this university means to the state and its people, and then those who maybe don't fully capture that.
Yeah, no, I really, I come from the podcast angle, but I see it on YouTube too, as far as everybody's passionate about it. And the passion comes through on the ones that I pay attention to, of like, we're all enjoying this together. And it is a community. I sense that in YouTube podcasts. It's like we're all bouncing around on each other's stuff and just excited to talk about it, because we'd be doing it if it wasn't in front of a microphone. You'd be doing it anyways. Right. So super cool. Let's talk basketball. We got the Brennan Lorient news this week. And I think Buchanan's in the same boat as like, we're not all the way there, Troy, but we're close. And that news is better than other news that we could have got on Lorient and his future. How different, everybody's excited, but put into words, how different is this team with Buchanan and Lorient versus not having them? How much has that changed the trajectory of this upcoming season?
I think it changes a whole lot. I really, truly do. I mean, in my opinion, BLo was the best player on the team last year. just helped us in so many different ways, does a variety of different things. And I think there's a couple things that kind of jump off the page with him specific to this team. Because, I mean, you've probably been guilty of saying it over the last few months. It's like, man, he's the missing piece. He's the missing piece. We have to get Brendan Laurier. Can you imagine Brendan Laurier on this team? And now there's a realistic shot. I like what you said on your X account yesterday that we're not out of the woods yet, I don't think. But again, it's better news than what it could have been, and it's exciting. And so I think it brings like a high quality player in Brendan Laurie and Buchanan to the table. And to me, and something I've said over on my channel, Mountaineer Moment, is like it's not just that, like you get high quality depth. And something I noticed with teams that went on runs in March Madness, I mean, probably every year, but more specifically last season, I mean, there were just guys coming off the bench. You're like, who the heck is that? And he's got 15. And it's like high quality depth really matters if you want to go on a run, not necessarily I mean, the NBA is kind of going that way, away from star power and like just to really, really good pieces that fit. And Brandon Lawrence a good fit in that regard. And it helps to have someone that's been there, done that when it comes to working with Coach Hodge and the staff and can help the other guys, get them up to speed. And so I'm all for it. I think this takes them up several notches because, again, either you got neither of them in BLo and Buchanan, you get one of them, and you get both of them. And if we get both of them, watch out. In my opinion, man, like I'm not trying to be overdoing it, but think about this team with those two is pretty special.
It's the particular position because I don't know because I haven't been banking on Laureate. That's just been kind of almost feels like a fan fiction kind of. They're leaving
Right.
a spot open. He would be the guy to do it, but if we just looked at Buchanan, like it's the spot that we have the least amount of depth, or be relying on freshmen the most, right? And so without either of those, I think they adapt. I think it's still interesting. I still think they're a good team, but that particular spot to go from figuring out how to play small at the four or play two centers or however we do that to having this depth that you're talking about with injury luck being a thing. And we had great injury luck last season, like I'm on the team. But that changes from year to year. And so to have depth and to have go from who we going to have at the four to having we know who's at the four and just figuring out the rotation. Uh, it I think that's the excitement at that position. It just takes them a step up for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
We know who's at the four and we like who's at the four.
that's exactly right for sure. With this news, let's say they both play this season, Troy. What other player on the roster is affected the most by both BLo and Javen playing this season? Good or bad?
Sure. Yeah. I'd say the player I'm most curious to see how he's going to play with everybody is Miles Sadler. I could just see him and Belo running some things that you just like the way it's going to look. And then I'll give you kind of two part. I mean, the player I'd be most curious about and how that's going to affect, his minutes, his role would be Seydou Traore, transfer from Utah, just to kind of see how he's going to fit because he's a versatile guy. But now you're bringing in two guys that play the four. Seydou can play the three or the four. What's that going to look like for him this year?
It I think that's my guy too, in that it feels like you've got your two guys and figuring out the minutes at the four. Traore, almost like our guy last year, Chance Moore, playing a lot of different positions from play can guard the two through the four. If he's frisky, play against the five, and maybe that's still his utility role, regardless of who's on the team. But I think I don't have a good feel of what his minutes are going to be. But knowing, would it shock you, Troy, if he was a starter? I mean, I think a lot of people have Sannon penciled in as a starter. It wouldn't shock me if Traore was in the starting lineup. Would it you?
No, I agree with you. It wouldn't shock me either. I think, yeah, I'm probably reading and hearing some of the same news that you are in that regard, but wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, again, I just we're running into some kind of interesting problems, and it's a fun conversation that we're having right now. And to some points we've probably already touched on. It'd be a very different conversation you and I'd be having if it was like, now what? Because we don't have a four, and now we're counting on Seydou to do a lot. So hopefully, it's like for all these guys you just play a more known role and you can execute that well.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Amir Jenkins, coming off of an injury. What role do you think he's the guy like Traore? I'm not sure if both guys come back, what exactly his role is. The mystery of Jenkins, as far as when he's going to be available, they brought in Somerville. What do you see from Jenkins this season? Does he make a rotation? And if so, does that mean Ross Hodges expands from his normal playing 8 to 9 guys to playing faster and maybe even going 10 deep during the season? Do you think that's a possibility?
My best guess would be if now again, let's just assume he's going to be healthy at some point and playable and available. My best guess would be if Jenkins is going to see the floor on a regular basis, it's gonna have to be Ross Hodge going your route that you just mentioned, going 9-10. I think some people, I think I did a show a couple weeks ago talking about Somerville, like kind of being the sleeper. That as far as this class that we brought in, and what he can bring to the table. I mean, he shot. I think his freshman year, where was it? UMass Lowell.
Yep.
Shot like 42% from three or something. Those numbers tick down at Florida State, but like it's there. If you shot over 40% at any point in your career, you can knock down shots. And I'm really excited to see him. And I'd have to give him the edge right now as far as getting those minutes. But should Hodge go 10 deep, and it's certainly possible, then Amir can certainly carve himself out a role.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited that he brings him back. And if Lorient plays, it really bumps up. I was concerned about how Raj could retain in year one. And it was a wild way to get there. And we're not out of the woods, but it's possible his minutes and points coming back takes a big leap bringing back a starter like Lorient. So I want to see Jenkins in the fold. We'll see how it goes. We talked about Buchanan, and no news on him this week, but I feel like he's in the same boat with Lorient. We agree that this kind of moves him to a sixth-man role or coming off the bench. And reminder, he was the Mountain West Sixth Man of the Year 2 seasons ago. How well do you think Buchanan will adapt from penciled-in starter early on when he's recruited to now playing a large role coming off the bench?
Yeah, I think he'll be A-okay. I really do. I think I mean, my goodness, as you just mentioned, what quality to have in someone who 2 years ago played that role and did what he was able to do. And then he just elevated his game even more last season to be in the starting lineup. And so now it's like, how much better can he get? And in this jump to the Big 12, and I had the utmost confidence in him. So I'll give a shout out to James Buchanan too, man. I don't know if you knew he came on the show
I saw him.
on Mountaineer Moment back in April. Got to talk with him. Great young man, and definitely rooting for him to have success as a Mountaineer.
Same here. And again, you mentioned it as a problem. It's one of those good problems when you're talking about depth and so many minutes, who gets to play them. You definitely want to be in a position of talented guys figuring out how to mix all those together versus not that the freshmen aren't talented, but throwing them in a role, which can be great, kind of points to like you're playing for the future. And it's tough to do that in this environment where every season you get a flip of the roster. We'll end here, Andrew, and I appreciate the time. This is a question thrown out by friend of the show, Andrew Corbett from earsports.com. And maybe you saw this on X. Here's the hypothetical. Who would win between the 2023 team prior to the terrible offseason from where versus this roster if BLo and Jamin could play? So let me break down the comparison, the top 9 for each team. So the what if 2023 team: Joe Toussaint, Jose Perez, Raekwon Battle, Trey Mitchell, Jesse Edwards, Kerr Kriisa, Mo Wagi, Seth Wilson, and Okonkwo. So that's the 2023 projected starting 9, or the top 9, versus this top 9 of Miles Sadler, Finley Bizjack, Sannon, BLo, Mo Silla, Jamin Buchanan, Martin Somerville, Traore, and Amadou Saini. Who would win in a matchup between those two teams? The what if 2023 team or this roster? And it's difficult because we have not seen, well, it's difficult on both ends because we didn't see either team play together. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's a tough
But
call. It's
Jesse Edwards
point.
has played NBA minutes. And then Miles Sadler projected draft pick in the future. Maybe not this upcoming year, but definitely down the road. Who do you got? It's a very interesting hypothetical.
It is an interesting one. My goodness. 2023, I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, that the list of why that roster and team needs to be a 30 for 30 just continues to grow month by month. I mean, that's got to come at some point. But I think to me, even just in analyzing that as you read through even the bottom halves of those units, I would say the 2026 as far as depth is better. I think maybe like Raekwon Battle, his scoring punch, Jesse Edwards, the best big by far in that equation. So that makes it tough. But then it's like, look at Miles Sadler and his potential. So I'm going to lean 2026. That's maybe the optimist in me, because hopefully we're going to see what that team can look like at its full potential. But it's close. And I mean, man, we were all super, super excited for that 2023 unit. And obviously we know what has transpired since. But it's close. I do think 2026 has the potential to be better. And just, again, I think the depth just stands out to me there, because there's a couple in those bottom half, Selfless and Okonkwo. I think we edge them out in 2026 on that regard.
Yeah, I think from 1 to 9 on paper, and this is all on paper, I'd give the edge to 2026. Starting 5, if you're just playing starting 5 versus starting 5, I think 2023 has the edge, but we'll never know. It is an interesting one. But just let's see. Troy, appreciate the time. Thanks for talking WVU basketball, and thanks for joining me again on Unreasonable Doubt, a podcast about West Virginia University basketball.
I appreciate your show and what you do, and your passion for the Mountaineers. Thank you.
Unreasonable Doubt is now under the old Gold and Blue umbrella. New umbrella. The guys who are behind SmokingMusket.com have gone independent, and they're at oldgoldandblue.com. I'm looking at it right now, oldgoldandblue.com. I see Jordan Pinto's position previews. Football season's coming up. Do you want a quarterback position preview? You do. Running backs position preview? You want it. Wide receiver preview? You got it. Same people, new adventure. The Discord is now the old Gold and Blue Discord. Check out the link in the show notes. Check out West by Pod, a podcast about WVU football with Joel and Jordan. Check that out wherever you listen to podcasts. The X feed, other social media. You'll find us at Old Gold and Blue. Oldgoldandblue.com. OLDGOLDANDBLUE.com. Big thanks to Troy for joining me on the podcast. Check out Mountaineer Moment on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. Find Mountaineer Moment on X at Ear Moment, at EERMOMENT. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms, or just pick one: Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Pocket Cast Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. WVU, for the 2026-2027 season, they have 0 wins and they have 0 losses.